Hello, my name's Tim, welcome to Tim Burbage Reads, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what I read in January and what I'm planning to read in February. So, January wasn't a tremendously successful month. I think I read 5 books, but the majority of those were children's books, both to my kids, and I'm going to starting a kids book club. So my kids, when they read a book, if they want to give it to me to read, I will read it. And I'm going to have a separate video all about children's fiction that I read, because not everybody is a parent or has kids that are the same age as mine. So I'm going to kind of separate it out into a different video. So in terms of grown-up books I read, really, really unsuccessful, because my life has been very tumultuous over the past few months due to work stuff, and now that is all settled, and will be settling as I settle into the new changes that are happening. I'm very happy, I'm okay, everyone in my family's okay, but it's been very stressful, and with everything going on, I just haven't been reading as much, and I haven't been, anytime I have been reading, I've read very short and then kind of run out of energy to do it. So, in fact, the only book grown-up book I technically finished was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, which I did on audio, and I finished that right at the start of January, and I was reading it through November and December. So that one I gave 4 stars to, I think. I enjoyed it. I could see why it's such a classic. I could see why it's so well loved. I just didn't necessarily love the plot of why things were happening or what was happening or why it was important to the characters. But man, it was really funny. It was so funny. The prose was so funny. Not what I was really expecting. And then in terms of other books I've been reading The Rosefield, which I've taken out of its dust jacket. Let me find the dust jacket quickly. There you go. The Third Book of Dust by Philip Pullman. Now, let's put that back. I am now, what was it, 150 pages through. So I'm about a quarter of the way through. This is big, dense. It's quite difficult to get into. It picks up straight away from The Secret Commonwealth, book 2 in the Book of Dust trilogy. I haven't really feel like I've got into it yet, even though I'm 150 pages in. So, kind of to be decided on this. I'm not reading it being like, wow, this is an amazing 5-star read, but I'm not reading it going, oh, I should really drop this. You know, I'm just kind of going through it slowly, and hopefully, now that my life's more settled, I can read a bit more of this. Then the other book that I finished, just technically right at the start of February, but I'm going to include it in this one, is The Star Rover by Jack London. And this, I'm going through Jack London's bibliography of his novels, and God, this was so good. I've made a review just for this video, just for that book. I'm going to keep doing individual reviews for Jack London books, so I have like a playlist of every single thing that he's read, every single thing that I've read that he's written. I'm not doing one of everything that he's read. But otherwise, reviews I'm planning to do more in these wrap-ups and TBRs. Just so, because reviews tend to not do very well on my channel. Actually, no video does very well on my channel, but I'm planning to move to less frequent uploads, but longer, more substantial uploads. That's what I'm planning to do for this year. We'll see how it works. We'll see if I stick to it. We'll see what happens. So that is it from a finished in January perspective. Very, very poor for a supposed booktuber to not be reading that many books, but I did read a lot of kids' books, and I will be having a separate video for that. So let's move into the February TBR, to be read pile, which is pretty big. So one of the challenges that I set myself was to read a sequel every month. Book of Dust was my sequel for January. I didn't finish it, but I still want to read 12 sequels this year. So I'm planning in 2 sequels for February. One is The Book of Dust, and the second is A Tale of Witchcraft by Chris Colfer. First of all, look at that cover. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? This is book 2 in the Tale of Magic series, which follows someone called Bristol Evergreen, and she is... this is a world with fairies and magic and witchcraft and sorcery. She's kind of gone to a magic school. She's discovered she is part fairy and lives in a very draconic world where women aren't allowed to do anything and fairies aren't allowed to do anything. They're all locked up, and the king says that magic is bad, but actually magic is very good, or in the right hands of the right people. I enjoyed book 1, but as a young adult towards middle grade children's kind of story, but I thought it was too long. I thought it was like 500 pages and I thought it was way too long. This book is, let me find it. Oh, it's got a little bit at the end of book 3. This book is 430 pages, so a solid 100 plus pages shorter than book 2, and I'm excited to get back into it. So I read A Tale of Magic at the start of last year, and I want to finish this series, so that's my sequel for February, and this is my sequel for January. Both pretty chonkers. Next is a book that... one of my challenges is reading books that I've borrowed from people, and because I'm very good at going, oh, I'll read that, and then it just goes on a shelf and sits there for a really long time and I don't give it back. So what I'm planning to read is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. This is one house, two families, three bodies. This is like a thriller kind of book. I don't really read a ton of thrillers, but one of the parents at my kid's school went, oh, you're a reader, Tim, so I'll read you this. I'll lend you this. They also lent me the sequel to it. So, be careful who you let in. In a large house in London's fashionable Chelsea, a baby is awake in her cot. Well fed and cared for, she is happily waiting for someone to pick her up. In the kitchen lie three decomposing corpses. Close to them is a hastily scrawled note. They've been dead for several days. Who has been looking after the baby? And where did they go? So, yeah, I generally don't read a ton of thrillers, but the ones I have read, I've quite enjoyed. And this is Lisa Jewell is a very prolific, famous author. She's kind of got a lot of books out and she's quite in the zeitgeist. And I'm looking forward to talking about this with one of the other parents when I read it. The next challenge, reading goal that I'm trying to achieve is reading books that were gifts. Again, I take a gift, I'm like, that's very generous. I put it on a bookshelf and then I don't read it for ages. So this is a gift that I got for, I want to say my birthday last year. I'm also terrible at remembering when I got these things. This is Doctor Who, The Time Lord Letters by Justin Richards. This is, obviously it's from Peter Capaldi's era as the Doctor, but it's just like a series of letters from the Doctor, you know, and it kind of jumps around in time from Doctor to Doctor. So this is from, this is from the third Doctor to a minister at UNIT. So you see it's got the UNIT headed paper and it's got pictures. I've been going through classic Doctor Who. I did watch a load of the third Doctors. I've watched Series 7 and Season 8. And I've kind of got to pick it up again. I'm planning to do that. But yeah, so I love Doctor Who. It's one of my favourite TV shows. And it's not going to be on this year. So this is a good way to get a Doctor Who fix. And it does look, even though it's quite a big book, it looks fairly quick to flick through. So I'm looking forward to ticking that one off the list and reading a book that was a very generous gift from one of my friends. Next is a book that is part of a challenge that's not one of my reading goals. So past 2 years ago, I found out about the Reddit Fantasy Bingo board, and I completed it. And then I found out about it kind of a bit too late. And then it runs from April to March. So in April 2024, finishing in March 2025, I completed it, and did hard mode on some, not on the others. I wasn't kind of trying to do hard mode on all of them. I was mainly trying to find books that could match the prompts, which is one thing I quite enjoy, I enjoy reading the prompts and then trying to find a book that I own that matches it. I find that more joy in that than just looking up what's the most obvious one and buying that book and reading it, But then I've also done it from April 2025 finishes in March 2026. And by the end of the year, I had done every square except for one, which is short stories, which I could do. I have Hans Christian Andersen's short stories, and you need to read 5 short stories, but hard mode is to read a whole collection. And I've got the Twisted Tales Anthology, which is curated by Liz Braswell. So this is made up of 8 short stories involving Mufasa, Belle, Remy, Ariel, Jim Hawkins, Brave, Bambi, and Mulan. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed the Twisted Tales. Some I've enjoyed way more than others. I've got a whole video about the Disney Twisted Tales. It's my most watched video by a factor of 10. So please go and watch that if you want to know more about my thoughts. But I'm interested in reading this. And then the final book I've got on my list is part of my kids' book club. So I'm looking to read more of what my kids read, especially now that my kids, they're growing up. Makes me sad. But they're unlocking the ability to completely read by themselves, completely independently, which I'm really happy for them, because that's a huge step in your journey into reading and what you enjoy and your ability to soak in language and understand meaning and inference and kind of guess what happens next. And one book that my wife read to my daughter, and she absolutely loved it, and she went, "Dad, I want you to read this," was a book that I'm going to talk about in the Kids Book Club video of what I've read, but she gave me the sequel. So the original book was called Witch Wars, and the sequel is called Witch Switch. So this has got a shiny cover on it because it's from the library. So I'm planning to read this because I really enjoyed Witch Wars, and I want to read the second one because my daughter loves witches. Witches. Magic. She loves The Worst Witch. She loves Witch Wars. She loves anything witchy is just fantastic in our household at the moment. So yeah, those are the 6 books that I'm planning to read. So I've got The Rosefield, planning to finish as my sequel challenge. I have got A Tale of Witchcraft by Chris Colfer as part of my sequel challenge. I have Doctor Who Time Lord Letters by Justin Richards as my gift challenge. I have The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell as my borrowed challenge. I have the Twisted Tales Anthology, curated by Liz Braswell, for my... oh, that book's upside down. Oh, they're all upside down. Let's try that. That's a bit better. Then I have, for my Reddit Fantasy Bingo. So let's put that on that way. And then I have Witch Switch by Sabine Pounder, that my daughter wants me to read. So let's put that there. So those are all the books. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you've got reading challenges like borrowing books from friends or reading sequels, or how are you progressing with your series? Let me know in the comments below. Please give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next one. And the last thing you can do is to get out of my house.